Okay, so picture this. You're just chilling, listening to this deep dive about cells. But while you're relaxing, there's this whole microscopic world inside you buzzing with activity.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think about, right? Billions of specialized cells, each with a very specific, job to do.
Right.
It's like a city bustling with experts. You've got construction workers and delivery drivers, even power plant operators.
That's a great analogy.
All working together to keep everything running smoothly. And that's what we're going to explore today. How these cellular specialists are structured to do their very specific functions.
Right.
We're going to be diving deep into 2.3 specialists at work.
Okay.
So before we get too into the weeds, maybe a super quick recap.
Yeah.
We've talked about basic cell structures before, like remember the mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses?
All right.
Today, we're kind of zooming out a bit to see how whole cells themselves become specialized.
Exactly.
How they go from generalists to these highly skilled experts.
Yeah. And there's no better example of this specialization than the heart.
Yeah, the heart, the beating heart of our circulatory system.
Literally.
You could say it's like the heart of the matter. So what makes heart muscle cells so special?
Well, for starters, they're small and they're branched.
Okay.
And that creates a large surface area for communication and efficient nutrient exchange. It's kind of like a network of roads connecting every corner of a city.
Oh, I see.
This network lets all the heart muscle cells contract in unison.
Okay.
Which creates that steady, rhythmic heartbeat we all rely on.
Yeah. And don't forget those mitochondria. They're super important for any cell that needs a lot of energy.
Absolutely. Heart muscle cells are packed with mitochondria.
Right.
Because pumping blood 24/7, that's a very energy-demanding job.
Makes sense.
In fact, athletes who train a lot, they actually increase the mitochondrial density in their heart muscle cells.
Really?
Yeah, it lets their hearts pump even more efficiently.
Wow, so training actually changes you at a cellular level.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It is. Even seemingly simple actions can have, huge effects on our cells.
That's pretty amazing. So we've got these super efficient, interconnected heart cells pumping blood throughout the body.
Right.
But what happens to all the food we eat?
That's where the stomach comes in.
Yeah.
In the stomach, we've got another cool example of cell specialization. Parietal cells.
Parietal cells.
Yeah, these cells are the ones making hydrochloric acid.
Oh, wow.
The key ingredient for breaking down food.
Hydrochloric acid.
Yeah.
That sounds intense. How do they handle something so corrosive?
That's where their unique structure comes into play.
Okay.
Parietal cells have these tiny finger-like projections called microvilli.
Microvilli.
They increase the surface area a ton so they can pump out hydrogen ions super efficiently. And those are a key component of, you guessed it, hydrochloric acid.
So they're like tiny factories churning out acid to help us digest?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like those massive port cities with tons of docks to load and unload cargo quickly.
I like that.
Efficiency is key. But this pumping action, it reminds me of something we talked about before, active transport, right?
You got it.
That's how cells move molecules against their concentration gradient,
Right.
which takes energy.
And parietal cells are pros at active transport using those microvilli to maximize their pumping power.
So from the heart pumping blood to the stomach churning and breaking down food, it's all these specialized cells working together.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
But what about all the waste our bodies produce? Where does all that go?
That's where the kidneys come in, acting as the body's filtration system.
The kidneys, okay.
And inside the kidneys, we have these cool cells called podocytes.
Podocytes.
They're like gatekeepers, filtering the waste products from the blood.
Oh, like bouncers at a club.
Exactly. Imagine a club with a super strict door policy.
Okay.
Only certain molecules are allowed in. Small ones like water, salts, and urea can get past, but bigger molecules like proteins and blood cells, they get turned away.
So the podocytes are like checking IDs at the molecular level.
Pretty much.
That's so cool. How do they actually do that? Tell me about their structure.
So podocytes have these long processes. They kind of interlock, almost like fingers intertwined. And that creates this very fine sieve.
Oh, I see.
And it ensures that only the smallest molecules can slip through.
That's really intricate.
It is.
So I've got the heart pumping, the stomach churning, the kidneys filtering.
Yeah.
What about the lungs? They're pretty vital too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The lungs are responsible for gas exchange, taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide.
Right.
And for this process, we've got another specialized cell, squamous epithelial cells.
Oh, yeah. I remember those. They're super thin and flat, right?
You got it.
Something to do with making it easier to breathe.
You're exactly right. That thinness is crucial for efficient gas exchange. Imagine these cells lining those tiny air sacs in the lungs, the alveoli.
Alveoli, right.
That flattened shape minimizes the distance that oxygen and carbon dioxide have to travel.
Between the lungs and the bloodstream.
Exactly.
So it's all about maximizing surface area again.
The thinner the cell, the faster those gases can move.
Wow.
It's a beautiful example of how form follows function in our bodies.
Okay, so we've seen how cells are structured for these really specific jobs. But what happens when they get old or damaged?
Yeah.
Does the body just leave them there?
That's where this process called apoptosis comes in. It's like a programmed self-destruct mechanism.
Wait, self-destruct, like a secret agent destroying a message after reading it.
Kinda, yeah. But it's a very controlled and orderly process. Imagine the webbing between our fingers and toes during fetal development.
Oh, yeah.
Those cells, they undergo apoptosis so our fingers and toes can separate.
So it's like a cellular sculptor carefully shaping our bodies.
Exactly.
So apoptosis is like a cleanup crew, making sure everything stays neat and tidy.
Precisely. It prevents inflammation and damage by neatly packaging those cell fragments for removal. It's done by specialized cells called phagocytes. It's super important for keeping that healthy balance in our bodies.
So apoptosis is like this built-in recycling system.
Yeah.
Getting rid of old or damaged cells before they can cause any trouble.
Right.
But what happens if this process goes wrong? Is that when diseases come in?
That's a great question. Apoptosis is this delicate balancing act.
Okay.
Too little, and you can get uncontrolled cell growth, which is a big problem in cancer.
Right.
But on the other hand, too much apoptosis can cause the loss of important cells, and that can contribute to degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
So it's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Apoptosis has to be just right.
Exactly.
It's amazing to think how much is happening at this tiny level, keeping us healthy.
It really highlights the complexity and precision of our biology.
Okay, so we've talked about some amazing examples of specialized cells, heart muscle cells, those parietal cells in the stomach, podocytes in the kidneys, squamous epithelial cells in the lungs, and even cells that, self-destruct.
It's a wild world down there.
It really is. But are there other cellular specialists that we should know about? Ones that maybe don't get as much attention?
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole universe of them in the human body, each with its own fascinating story. One type that often gets overlooked is red blood cells.
Oh, red blood cells. Those little guys.
Yeah.
We learned about them in high school biology, but I never thought of them as being particularly specialized.
It's easy to take them for granted, but without them, we wouldn't be able to breathe or function.
Sure.
They're constantly circulating, picking up oxygen from the lungs and delivering it to every cell in the body.
So they're like tiny delivery trucks, zooming around our circulatory system, making sure every cell gets its oxygen package.
I like that.
What makes them so good at their job?
Well, for one, they have this unique biconcave shape.
Biconcave?
Yeah, like a disc that's been pinched in the middle. This shape increases their surface area for gas exchange.
I see.
So they can pick up and deliver oxygen way more efficiently.
Okay.
They're also incredibly flexible.
Oh, wow.
Able to squeeze through even the tiniest blood vessels, making sure that every nook and cranny of our body gets the oxygen it needs.
It's amazing how something so simple can be so effective. It's like a reminder that the most elegant solutions can be the most powerful.
Exactly. And that simplicity is also a sign of their specialization. Red blood cells have lost their nucleus and most of their organelles, which leaves way more space for hemoglobin and oxygen transport.
Oh, yeah.
They've basically streamlined themselves for this one purpose.
So they've dedicated their entire existence to delivering oxygen. Talk about commitment. I'm realizing how understanding these specialized cells really makes you appreciate the complexity and resilience of our own bodies.
It really is amazing. It's like the symphony of cells, each playing their part to keep us alive and functioning.
Okay, this has been a really eye-opening deep dive. We've covered a lot today, from the basics of cell specialization to the importance of apoptosis, and now this fascinating world of red blood cells.
It's been great exploring these intricacies with you.
But before we wrap things up, I have a question for our listeners out there. What other specialized cells are you curious about? Think about it. The cells that let you feel touch or taste, or even the ones that help you fight off those nasty infections. Crazy, right? There's a whole world of these cellular specialists out there, each with its own, like, incredible story.
This deep dive, it's really just a glimpse into that world. It's a reminder that even though we can't see them,
Right.
these tiny cells are working so hard, constantly orchestrating this whole symphony of life that makes up our bodies.
And, like, the more we learn about them, the more we realize how interconnected everything is.
Right.
From the smallest cell to, like, the biggest organ system.
Exactly. So next time you take a breath or eat a meal or even just feel your heartbeat,
Yeah.
remember all those millions of tiny specialists working together to make it all happen.
Yeah. This has been such an incredible journey. Thanks for joining us on this, like, cellular adventure.
Of course.
Until next time, keep exploring the wonders of the world, both big and small. I mean, seriously, there are so many. What about those brain cells, the neurons, right?
Oh yeah, the neurons are fascinating. They're responsible for transmitting information throughout the nervous system.
Like electrical signals, right?
Exactly. They have these long extensions called axons that carry signals over long distances.
It's mind-blowing to think that all our thoughts, feelings, and actions are ultimately the result of these tiny cells communicating with each other.
And it's not just communication within the brain. Neurons also connect our brains to every other part of our bodies, allowing us to sense the world around us and respond to it.
So it's like this intricate network of wires connecting everything together.
It's an incredible system, and it's all thanks to the specialization of these amazing cells.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. It seems like specialization is really the key to building a complex and functional organism.
Absolutely. It's like a division of labor, where each cell type has its own unique role to play. And by working together, they create this incredible symphony of life that we call the human body.
It makes you realize how much we take for granted. We just go about our day not even realizing the incredible things happening inside us at every moment.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It really is. Well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to ponder today.
I hope so.
Maybe this deep dive will spark some curiosity and inspire them to learn even more about the amazing world of cells.
I think that's a great goal.
So to everyone out there, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep marveling at the wonders of the human body. And until next time, stay curious.